So we were just talking about when love for somebody is greater than the fear of losing something, or let's say a relationship, then people are going to be honest with other people, and that does come down to why we deny our own desires and really try to give people what they want or their desires, and,
Yeah.
and try to just give to others, and that's part of our sanctification process. But then we realized, why would we be honest with brothers in our community, right? So us, as somebody who needs to say something, I know some people follow like different versions of church discipline and how to pull that off as well. And then someone, right? So actually this would be better as the other person, right? So we were just going over why would we be honest with somebody, and why make the choice to potentially cause a conflict or cause somebody to some discomfort potentially by being honest with somebody. Why would we do that? What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, well, so I had a friend in college that had another friend who was falling away from the faith and kind of jumping off the deep end and stuff. So the first friend was trying desperately to keep this person out of the deep end, but was doing it at the detriment of the friendship and was being belligerent to the point of being a stalker. And I explained to him, look, that person between you two is a rope, and they're falling. You think that they're falling, and you can only pull on that rope as hard as they will hold that rope. So if you pull on that rope too hard, you'll pull that rope through their hands and burn their hand, and then they're going to let go of the rope, and then you'll have no ability to help them. And yes, you could try and slow their fall, but if you're really annoying about the way that you do that, then they're going to let go of the rope, and again, you'll have no control. And so, you might need to just, even though you have the rope, even though you have the ability to tell them to stop, to tell them things, you may need to stop doing that and just be there so that you will be there when they hit the ground and you can help them pick up the pieces. And then so that was many years ago, but recently I was having this conversation, a follow-up conversation with about this, or about adjacent to this, and realized I think that there are people have two different callings. Let's say that there's a someone falling off the deep end, right? And they're devolving into, they're going somewhere bad. There seem to be two different kinds of people. There seem to be two different kinds of people. One kind of person is going to continue warning of the dangers. They're gonna continue telling you you shouldn't be doing this. They're going to continue doing this until you block their number and take out a restraining order on them. The fact that they will not give up, they will not let it go, they will not have a relationship with you because they will not, they do not value their relationship over helping. That is an archetype, and it's a helpful archetype, I think. But metering that, I think, is the second archetype, which values relationship over maybe I will say truth or helping in the other in certain ways. The other archetype is going to say, you know what? You already have people in your life telling you that you're what you're doing is wrong. You know that what you're doing is wrong in your heart, but I am going to be here to help. I'm going to be here and maintain a relationship with you all the way down so that when you hit the ground, you have someone to turn to that will help you instead of having to turn to someone who isn't going to be a helpful thing. To do that, you have to earn the right to do that by not continuing to tell them what you think they need to hear. But yeah, I think it's an interesting.
So not continuing when unwanted, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. But so basically, we would change that into offering when wanted.
Yeah, what's the axiom about unwanted, or not axiom? What's the thing about
Unwanted
unwanted
advice,
advice?
unsolicited advice sucks.
It does suck, yeah.
Yeah. And there's a format. I'm not sure what it is. If you're listening to the recording, put it in the comments where people don't offer advice, they just share their experiences.
Yeah, that also helps.
It's like a quagmire or some kind of format or something like that. So offering when wanted versus offering when not wanted. And this is just simply, I'd say the difference between these two is reading the room.
Yeah.
So the line between these two is reading your audience. Okay, pretty straightforward, tough to accomplish. It's not a skill everybody's born with. Some people have to learn it, some people have it just gifted. Now, why would somebody want to listen? Why would they want it? Right? Because this is another axiom is the wanting, right? So reading your audience, figure out if they want it, right? And then what do we do?
Well,
Right?
if somebody is struggling and they're falling, if their life is going off the rails and they're struggling, they actually they need friends, and usually they know that and they want friends.
Yeah.
And so by being around, by being a friend, they'll want to listen if you provide them with the friendship.
Reasons people listen when they really want help, right?
Yeah.
They actually want to make some kind of positive change in their life because we've got the process of what is it? Deny, awareness, acceptance, and anybody know the last one?
I don't remember.
Change, doing something about it.
Right.
So they're at that point of wanting change. I'd say that's a good point to help people. That's a nice I, but wanting change. Okay, so we want that change in our life. Awesome. And these folks, they just want a quick fix.
When the folks at the point of wanting change.
Uh-huh. And so our
Yeah.
axiom between the two is intention.
Cool.
What do you think? You seeing the same thing?
Yeah.
Yep. That's what we've learned in the entrepreneurial path, and I've seen it in the church path. I've seen it in the personal path, in my marriage.
Is this a two-dimensional graph? What are the two axes on the graph?
Well, we've got reasons to listen and reasons to say, which we then map to us and the other person, and they're
Okay.
bad and good.
Okay. Interesting.
We really just want to stay in this quadrant right here, right? People who, for example, there's amongst these kinds of people, I can understand these are sort of extremes, right? We've got number one over here that's a truth seeker, and we've got this person that falls into groupthink and denies their self to a point where there's almost no autonomy, which I wouldn't recommend either because faith without works is dead, right? So you got to really take control of what you can and leave the rest up to God. But at the end of the day, you've got this box of people that you can do business with or associate with or whatever. These people do not want change, right? So we aren't going to do any work with them. These people want a quick fix, but we can't work with them because it's never going to work, right? We both know this,
Yeah.
personal and entrepreneurial. And I like your approach of where do you position yourself. We haven't gotten this part mapped in yet, but we just want to work with this small box of people. Then you might be able to help these people who want quick fixes, who they'll eventually realize, hey, I'm powerless and I need to give that up to something.
Yeah.
But these small box people are great because, the thing is, where are they in this range of people? Well, I hope they're a pretty healthy axiom of people who are very low friction for you. Most of this is not good for you or for me or for anybody, right? These are people who are low friction in your life. You can go to them and you can say, hey, I didn't really form a good relationship with that person. You were just at a networking event and you had 5 minutes. It's up to your actually survival to know who you should be around and who you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You can tell. Your body can tell, right? And
Yeah.
I used to not listen to that stuff because I was so focused on the end goal.
Hmm.
Either way. So the appreciation for it is there. And then where do you want to be with people? I think Ben makes a good point that we'll close on here because we try to keep these videos short. Is I know that you guys have spent some time holding the rope for people and sort of being in the control point. That is easier, less effective in the long term. Being there for people when they actually want change, where they go from quick fixes and wanting things to be controlled for them versus being at the helm in life. In some regard, of course, you want to surrender to God. This is the reasons why we are honest with people, especially those who actually want it. And we're honest with these folks as well in closing here when we say, it's just too early.
Right. Well, that's what I was talking. That's what I was talking about with the rope versus catching. I think both of those people types of those archetypes are required in somebody's life. If somebody's falling, they need to have somebody telling them until they won't listen to that person anymore. Like, no, like you need to stop. This is not healthy for you. This is not okay. This is not good. I know you don't want to hear it. I know, like, but no, you have to, like, this is bad. And also the people that are there saying, I'm here for you. I know this is rough. And you need both those people. If you only have the people telling you that this is bad, then eventually, oh, it's a journey. If you only have the people telling you that this is bad, then you eventually will have nobody. Then you'll alienate all of your friends. You if you only have those people telling you in your life that you're doing something wrong, then eventually, when you cut all of them off, you'll have no friends when you hit the bottom. And if you have if you have only people in your life that are operating by love instead of fear, or like operating by love, you will then you will hit the bottom. Like you won't have anybody to tell you the truth, and so you got to have both in your life. And so when you are helping someone else, you can look at the world, at the people around the person you're trying to help and say, aha, they need someone to tell them the truth, or nope, they need someone to love them.
Sure, sure. Well, I'd say, a pretty good point to summarize on.
Yeah.
Ben makes some really good points there. We have some great distinctions between, people who will just tell you whatever you want to hear versus those who are just going to argue with you and it's uncomfortable. There is a
Yeah.
great middle ground, and it does come down to associating with a lot of people that think about things the same way as you, while exposing yourself to, of course, people that don't, and keeping the, let's say, the saw sharp. And that's a great way to bring people into what you enjoy as well. It
And
might not be,
being willing to do the uncomfortable work.
yeah, it might not be the right season too at
Yeah.
certain points, and you need to wait until that person is ready to do healthier things for themselves, is what I was hearing. So,
Yep.
well, thank you for joining, Ben, and thank you everybody for listening in. We're, part of the Husbands Leveling Up, Men Leveling Up community, and for us, this is a great transition into another video, which is about transformation through accountability. That's up on our channel, and we'd recommend that you check that out.
Yeah.
And that comes back to our core topic of why are we honest with men in our lives? We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Hit your round.